You're now listening to the Built to Last podcast, a show for human performance professionals from a biblical worldview. This is performance coaching with eternal purpose.
Welcome back to another episode of the Built to Last podcast, and we are in episode 4 of our series of 10 lessons from Coach Jerry Palmieri on the major life lessons that he's learned over his years in the profession. And just an awesome honor that Coach has received. In 2018, he was the Professional Football Strength and Conditioning Association's NFL Lifetime Achievement Award winner. And the reason I share that with you guys is just because I want you to know the influence that Coach has had over his long career in the profession, and what a blessing it is to have him with us again today. And so, Coach, I just want to turn it over to you, and thanks again for joining us.
In 1987, I received my first head position at Kansas State University. Now, when I went to KSU, it was not a prominent football program, having been to only one bowl game, which they lost. The school was soon to be named the losingest football program in the history of the NCAA. During my first 3 years at Kansas State, our record was 1-31-1. Let me explain that to you. That's 1 win, 31 losses, and 1 tie. And that one victory came in my 3rd season on the final play of the game over the powerhouse of the South, North Texas State. I think they were a 1AA program at the time. The fans went crazy, tearing down the goalpost, acting as if we had just won a national championship, when all we did was win 1 game. While at KSU, I learned that I had to coach the Brandenburgs, the Joe Feldmans, and the Chase Blackburns. On our Kansas State roster, we had several athletes who were not very talented football players. I guess you figured that out when I told you that we only managed to win 1 game in 3 years. One of these players was named Brandon Brandenburgs, who was a walk-on linebacker. Brandon was a nice kid, but he was never going to see the field on Saturday. I recall sitting in my office speaking to my assistant, and he says to me, "I want to coach the Russ Campbells and the Brooks Spartans, not the Brandenburgs." I looked at him and said, "No, that's not how we operate. Regardless of their status on the team, every athlete has a mom and dad who love them and have entrusted their son to us. They are a member of our team. We will coach them hard, giving our best effort." There was another young man who was a walk-on kicker by the name of Joe Feldman. Joe was a pleasant kid who was not very large in stature, nor was he very athletic. I remember during one of our off-season workout sessions, I was doing overspeed running with my players. Joe is paired up with one of our linebackers. Joe has the band hooked to his waist, and his partner is out in front of him ready to tow him. On go, they both start running. The man pulling is supposed to look back over his shoulder, keeping one eye on his partner for safety reasons. Well, this linebacker wasn't one of the most attentive guys on the team. He starts running with total disregard to his partner. Unfortunately, Joe trips on the turf, and the next thing I see is Joe Feldman being dragged, bouncing up and down on the turf. Like Brandon, it was highly unlikely that Joe would ever see the field on Saturday. Brandon and Joe were great kids, and I enjoyed coaching both of them. They came into the weight room for every workout with a smile on their face, knowing that they were going to be coached. I firmly believe that everyone matters. Each individual is God's creation and deserves the opportunity to get better. There is one other reason to train these unrecognized athletes. You train them because you never know when one of those athletes who have no chance will turn into a Chase Blackburn. In 2005, Chase Blackburn went as an unsigned free agent from the University of Akron to the Cleveland Browns rookie minicamp. He left without a contract. During the next couple of weeks, he had 2 tryouts, one with the Pittsburgh Steelers and the other with the Buffalo Bills. Neither team offered him a contract. The New York Giants signed Chase during the rookie week of the off-season training program. The head coach and the position coaches were all gone on vacation, so there was no football instruction going on, only strength and conditioning. The odds of this kid making our team were very slim. He shows up at training camp and not only makes the team, but leads the New York Giants in special teams tackles for the first 6 years of his career. During that span, he also won a Super Bowl. He was unsigned in 2011, but returned to the Giants at the end of November and intercepted Aaron Rodgers in his first game back. 2 months later, in our Super Bowl 46 victory, he made a big play in the fourth quarter, intercepting a Tom Brady pass over Rob Gronkowski. Chase finished his career with the Carolina Panthers, completing 10 seasons in the NFL. Never underestimate someone thinking that they have no chance at success. If someone has been entrusted to your care, perhaps an entry-level employee, give all your effort to help him succeed. You never know when you will find a diamond in the rough, when a so-called nobody turns into a Chase Blackburn. So coach the Brandenburgs, the Joe Feldmans, and the Chase Blackburns.
Those athletes who never see the field but feel your investment in their life are sometimes the athletes that you impact the most. You know, it's clear, Coach, that you believe that as a strength coach, and that we're here to serve those under our care. And just love to hear, why did you want to become a strength coach? What got you into the profession?
Well, you mentioned servant, and that's really what we are. We're serving people, and I just wanted to help kids get better. And a nice thing about a strength and conditioning coach is you're never going to decide whether or not they play, whether they make the team or not. They're never going to ask your opinion about that. Right. They may ask you some physical qualities, his work ethic, some tangible qualities, those kind of things. But they're going to make a decision based on if he's good enough to play or if she's not good enough to play. So you can invest in them, you can get close to them, because you're never going to have to make that hard decision. And I just enjoyed helping athletes become the best that they can be and watching them grow, watching them just change, watching their bodies change. I recall when I was in college, when the freshmen came in, the first thing I did was put them in the anatomical position with a pair of shorts on, that's it, and take a picture of their body. And it was just amazing that every time they came in to set goals prior to each off season, I'd break out that picture, and they could not believe that's what they look like. Mm-hmm. And it's just so much fun to watch them change right before your eyes. And unfortunately, with the transfer portal, which it has its benefits by all means, but sometimes kids don't stay long enough under your tutelage. They seek an opportunity, all of a sudden something happens, and they leave. And in the old days, you had a kid for 5 years, and you were able to invest in that kid, that person, for 5 years. As they came as a freshman and matured to a senior, and you watched them change. And I still have relationships with some of those athletes that I trained back at Kansas State, and it's a close bond. And that's what we thrive for as a strength and conditioning coach, is to have that bond, to really impact the lives of others. And of course, as a Christian, I wanted to all to come to know Jesus Christ, the Lord and Savior. And basically kind of just did that by living out my life and advising the Fellowship Christian Athletes group on campus. And seeing kids come to know the Lord and going on to marry and have kids, it's just an outstanding experience.
Yeah. No, that's good, Coach. Fantastic. Thank you again for sharing. Loved it. We'll see you guys again in the 5th episode.